Hi, guys. So today we have learned that 4-year-old Serenity McKinney's body has been found. So, how does this happen? How does a 4-year-old go missing for over a year? And apparently, no people of authority, no law enforcement, no DCF was actively looking for this child. Well, this story has a lot of moving parts. So let's look at the life and the unfortunate death of 4-year-old Serenity McKinney. Serenity's mother, Catherine McKinney, who goes by the name Abby, had Serenity when she was just a teenager. At 16 years old, she met then 18-year-old Dave Justice. Now, Dave was living a very rough lifestyle. He was involved in drugs, crime, just not making good life choices. And he says that when he met Abby, she was like a breath of fresh air. She was a good girl. She detested drugs. She wasn't involved in, any of that kind of gritty lifestyle. She was just a really good person and doing the right thing in life. But he says she lied and said that she was 18. Now, we don't know if that is factual or not because, the mom hasn't spoke on that. But he says that she told him she was 18 years old. Nonetheless, he chose not to pursue a relationship with her. How he kind of perceived her was that she was a good girl who had an attraction for bad boys. And, that's not real uncommon for young girls. But he felt like if he got involved with her, he would literally ruin her life. So he chose not to pursue it, even though he did have an attraction for her. But they did have a one-time sexual encounter. And from that encounter, Serenity was conceived. Now, he says he learned her true age after she became pregnant and states that he was actually nervous that her family would, pursue charges against him, for being involved with her as an underage girl. But although they didn't, there was a lot of tension between the two families. The parents, Abby and Dave, despite the tension, decided to try to co-parent and do the best they could for little Serenity. Sadly, Dave was not yet to a point where he was either ready or able to change his life and, stop doing drugs and stop being involved with the people that he was involved with. Now, he has since really turned his life around. He even moved out of the area to kind of separate himself from, anything that would trigger him, people, places, things. But at that time, he wasn't really yet ready to do that. So, although he was involved in Serenity's life, he wasn't overly active. So, he would visit her like once a month, kind of did the best he could with where he was in life at the time. Abby, being so young, of course, was limited in how much she could really be a mother for this baby. She did try, but come on, you're 16, right? So Abby's grandmother steps in and says, you and the baby come live with me and you can finish school and I'm going to help you raise the baby. And by all accounts, she did most of the mothering or caretaking of the baby. And I would imagine she really took very good care of the baby, right? Because it's grandma. And, grandmas are just amazing for the most part, most of the time, in most families. Grandma is a really strong influence on a child's life and a really gentle, loving, and nurturing caretaker. So I would imagine that Serenity's early years at Grandma's house was probably wonderful. Now, at some point, And I also want to say that both Abby and Dave's extended families, parents and grandparents and everybody was very active in the child's life. So I do want to say that even though dad may not have been, 100% in, his family was very active in the baby's life. So I think all around she had a great support system. At some point, Abby ends up meeting Dakota Hill. And he's a few years older than her and also a bad boy. So mom has not lost her taste for the bad boys. And she begins dating him. And this is where things seem to take a turn. At some point, Abby decides that she wants to move out of grandma's house in with her father and her stepmother. And it seems like from accounts of family members that the reason behind that may have been so she could spend more time with Dakota. Like he wasn't allowed to just, come hang out at grandma's house. And so she decides she's going to move in with her dad to have more accessibility to seeing Dakota. And that wasn't really long-lived. At some point, she then leaves there and decides she's going to live with Dakota. The timeline here is that her family says the last time they laid eyes on Serenity was Christmas Eve of 2020. But that one of the family members heard her on the phone in the background as late as June of 2021. Why hadn't they seen her, physically laid their eyes on her in between that time? Well, you can probably imagine. Dakota was not the greatest influence, I would think, from accounts, in Abby's life. And she was starting to distance herself from her family. And we have heard this so many times. And that leaves the family very helpless because they're reaching out, they're calling, they're asking to see her, they're asking to see the baby. She not only stops answering their calls, she starts to block them on social media. Huge red flag. Now, the boyfriend, Dakota, loved to play Xbox, and he had met some friends on Xbox. And apparently in July of 2021, he contacts one of them and says that he is homeless with his girlfriend and asks if they can come and stay with them. This friend says yes, and they arrive in July of 2021. Remember, the baby was heard on the phone in June, so we're only a month later. They did not have the baby with them. And this friend says that Abby arrived with a black eye and a swollen face. So from this, we can surmise maybe some DA going on in this relationship, and that would be one reason that she would start to pull away from her family. But an even bigger issue is the baby's not with them. Now, these friends probably didn't know much about them or, the situation with the daughter. So they probably had no reason to find this overly alarming. She could have said the baby was with her family or, whatever. So at some point, her family's getting very concerned and they call for a well check. DCF, Department of Family and Children's, it's called different things in different places. CPS, DCF, DSS, whatever. I don't know what it's called in Kentucky. But they locate the parents and they ask to see the child, which would be protocol, right? Come for a welfare check. I need to see the child. They say the child is with the grandparents. Now, what's really alarming here is that nobody verified this. if I'm the social worker and I'm supposed to check on the well-being of this child and you tell me the child is with the grandparents, I now want to find out where these grandparents are and I want to go and I want to physically see this child. Nobody verifies where the child is. And this is going to boil your blood. The case gets closed without anyone physically seeing Serenity. The case gets closed. So at this point, they're off living with this friend, and child is nowhere. Welfare check has been, haphazardly done. Nobody has laid eyes on this child, and time continues to go by. The family is not satisfied. They know something is wrong. We're a year to the point where anybody has seen this child. And even though they probably weren't thinking the worst, they were just thinking that she was staying away from all of them because, she was with this guy that, probably was mistreating her and nobody was going to approve of. They still want to make sure that the baby is okay. And they finally end up doing a missing persons report. They have had no contact at this point with the baby or the mom. They're located eventually in Kansas. And when the police say that they want to see the child, they, unlike social services, are not taking no for an answer. Produce the child. Well, when mom and boyfriend refuse to give them information and refuse to give them the whereabouts of the child, they get arrested. And they get arrested for custodial interference. At that point, there's no proof that anything terrible has happened to the baby, but they want to haul them in. They want to bring them in and they want to get to the bottom of where is Serenity. All this time, now dad is doing interviews on TV. The families are putting out flyers. They're on, social media. Everybody is looking for Serenity. Mom and boyfriend are staying zipped up. They're not giving up any information. And then sadly, we find out that her body has been located in a wooded area on the Jefferson Bullitt County line. And as of yet, this is brand new information. As of yet, an autopsy has not been done, although I believe it's going to be done like ASAP. But here's what we know. Mom's boyfriend has now been charged in the death of Serenity. Mom has not. She's still in jail. She's still in jail on the custodial interference, but he has been arrested, and that is in connection, direct connection to Serenity. She has not. And his charges also include, I believe, abuse of a corpse, which I would imagine would just, be the either moving or hiding of the body. Are charges going to come down on the mom? We don't know. Let's face it, she's been with him all this time and she hasn't, told anybody what happened. She hasn't reached out for help. If it's going to come out that she was being held by him, terrorized by him, I don't know. I'm throwing thoughts out there as to why she hasn't been charged yet. And we don't even know how the body was located. So did mom crack in the last few hours? Did she give them that information? So much that we don't know yet. But what we do know is the baby has been found deceased. And this is heartbreaking because this is a baby who had all this extended family. And like I said, biological dad has really turned his life around and really wanted to step up and be a great father to Serenity. His family was involved with her. All of Abby's family loved this baby and, really wanted to help be caretakers for her. So the fact that she had all this support and that it would end this way, really just over what appears to be mom's choice of a boyfriend. It's heartbreaking. It's horrible. It's needless. It's needless. So I guess we're really going to stay tuned. We're going to keep our eye on this story. We're going to wait for the autopsy to be done. We're going to wait and see if charges come down on mom. I would imagine that's going to happen. Interesting that it hasn't happened yet. So I don't know if mom has started talking and that's what led them to the wooded area, because we don't even know what led them. This was just kind of like breaking news. So stay tuned and we will wait for all that information. But again, 4-year-old Serenity McKinney found deceased. Prayers to her whole entire family, because this is heartbreaking. So I'll talk to you soon. Let me know if you hear anything. I'll let you know if I hear anything. Okay, bye.